We've got Will. Righto, Will. When you're ready, mate. Craig, your call. Heads it is. Good luck, boys.
Welcome back to the Telstra Dome for Sydney and St Kilda, and there we see Nick Riewoldt, the official new St Kilda captain, and he wins his first coin toss of the season. Perhaps it'll be an omen. Now, I'm not sure whether you can see the Sydney bench behind me. In fact, you can't, because there's some of the trainers are standing up in front, but Paul Roos has decided to coach from the bench tonight. We'll see whether he stays there for the entire night, but so far he says he will be, so we'll wait and see why he's done that. Perhaps he just wants to be a little bit closer to the action, but he is sitting on the bench and will coach it from the bench at the start of the game. The atmosphere seems a little bit flat at the moment, actually. It's almost like there's just a bit of anticipation in the air. The St Kilda fans obviously happy with the pre-season, and they want to see how St Kilda will do in round one. Welcome now to Malcolm and Tim to the telecast.
Thank you, Christy. Good evening all. And Malcolm, the Swans have been the higher achiever of the two in recent years, with a premiership, of course, and another grand final. But I think the achievement pressure tonight is on the Saints. There's a lot expected of them this year.
It's a really good call. I thought Paul Roos's comment about 03 when he started coaching and how more relaxed he is without that expectation.
Was an interesting comparison. Here we go. St Kilda and Sydney met in a preliminary final in 2005. It's a new year. In fact, it's 3 years on. The game is underway. The Swans are going from left to right, and it starts with a physical maul, and umpire Vozzo to step in and ball it up.
And Kirk. There's Lenny Hayes.
Everyone on one side of the pack, the Swans attacking side. St Kilda's ball, Xavier Clark slipping it to Lee Fisher. Good move, and Riewoldt on the end of it.
That's the matchup we're going to see a lot of tonight, Tim. And Craig Bolton has been very, very good on Riewoldt in the past, but he just gave him the super. I was watching them behind the play. He went back towards goal, Nick Riewoldt, and doubled back. There it is. And he's just so hard to match up on, Tim. He leads so well. He's second and third leads. And what a great start for him to get that first easy chest mark.
Boy, they've used a couple of rolls of tape on those shoulders. The skipper with the first shot. He kicks, truly. The Saints are away. So Riewoldt kicks the first goal of the night. I thought it was interesting at that second ball up. The Swans had taken it 20 metres forward. Everyone was on the Swans attacking side of the pack. I'd imagine that was initiated by St Kilda, and then when they won possession of the ball, they were able to sweep forward uncontested.
I couldn't agree more, Tim. The other thing with it was a great second effort from Stephen King to knock it forward. And then, as Luke described it, beautiful movement from a forward line player. Classical movement. Nice finish. That'll give him some confidence.
Yes, it certainly will. And we know that he is a confidence player in front of goal. Big task for Craig Bolton, as it is for Darren Jolie in the ruck, taking on two All-Australian ruckmen in King and Gardner, albeit both getting towards the end of their careers. Not much doing on the secondary bounce. It's exciting for Saints fans, Das, as a ruckman yourself, if Gardner and King can stand up.
Yeah, I think Stephen King is just a massive pickup. He's had a fit pre-season. He's hard. And he's a smart player. He gets hold of the ball a lot. Great inclusion for them.
Hayes with a deep kick. And the intersection was Kazitsky and Gardner. And Kazitsky got there first. He has a habit of going to intersections, and probably a bit like you, Das, driving, coming up second best. But that time his timing was good.
Two big clearance victories for St Kilda.
Hunger for the footy.
Get off Darcy's back.
Sorry, Tim. We won't mention it again for the rest of the night.
It's out of bounds.
From outside 50. Reasonable connection in terms of distance, as you saw. Just not quite online. But the Saints showing all the initiative so far.
Well, what they've won is two 50-50 balls.
And won them comprehensively. Unusual to see the Swans beaten like that in those situations. Kennelly is back for Sydney, fit, able-bodied, and carrying a lot of weight on those broad shoulders. Craig Bolton forced to switch and find Ted Richards. But it's the Swans under the pump at the moment. St Kilda have started superbly here. There's Bolton again. And this time he goes long and pretty direct, and he kicks it to Kieran Jack, who goes beyond the wing, and O'Keefe in those strong hands brings it down. So Sydney now with a chance to build something for the first time. And it's a centering ball for Kennelly, running out of defence. New hairstyle from Tig. Well oiled too, he looks good. Now this is Jolly, who's carrying the ruck duties almost on his own tonight. Roberts Thompson was doing a bit of ruck rehearsal in the warm-up. There's not a lot of support though for the big former Demon. He's had a good second football life in Sydney, playing in 2 grand finals and has a premiership to his credit. Again, Craig Bolton.
With St Kilda at this stage, while they're chipping it around, St Kilda has everybody, I guess, inside, nearly inside this forward 50.
Yeah, they're way back. This is a full flood. Craig Bolton again, and here comes Bazza, but he put a hand in somebody's back. Could have been either of 3 backs because he had the numbers against him, and it's St Kilda's ball.
It is. Montagna with the task of bringing it out of defence. Has Revolt as a target, and Xavier Clark just running alongside him, ready and waiting, and then good awareness about him. A free kick, but advantage paid. Montagna kept on coming. Promising build-up. They stream forward, the Saints. Cleared the path for Kaczynski again. Got in good position. Good late spoil from Leo Barry. Kieran Jack was hanging on there for a moment. Could have been a free. Gardner dispossessed. And the Swans pretty sturdy, as they always are. Bolton's handball missed the target, though. Kennelly buries in on top of Revolt.
Well, the intentions are pretty clear here, Luke, that Ross Lyon is going to push back in these early stages to keep the Swans scoreless, I would suggest.
Yeah, we obviously knows Sydney as well as anyone in the competition. We had a shot of Paul Roos there coaching from the sidelines, and he knows what they don't like.
Effective ruck work again from King, with Hayes initially, then Graham, and now Milne, and Graham keeps on coming.
I'd actually like to make a comment about Paul Roos sitting on the sidelines. He got into a bit of trouble for that. More people can hear down there, Paul, if you're listening, apparently. But also...
He laughed, he's listening, Blighty.
But also, isn't it funny? What's old is new again.
Loop ball, quick centre for Kaczynski, and Revolt surely not. Oh! It was ingenious, instinctive, and he couldn't quite get the ball on the point that he needed.
Now, Tim,
he's going to finish it.
That was great effort there from just as a matter of interest. You would remember the coaches when they all sat on the bench just like Paul Roos, Tim?
Oh, I think that great trendsetter Ron Barassi was the one who finally went upstairs, wasn't he? Here goes Kennelly for Sydney. And he kicks well to Hall, who's had to come a long way up. Suddenly everyone's up in the other half of the ground, and Hall has to wait until he's got something that he can go to. He went for Matner. Raf Clark getting it to Harvey, who started on the bench. Take long to get into the fray. Now Montagna, St Kilda full of aggression, looking terrific. Graham, this time Kaczynski's behind. He put hands in the back.
Kaczynski's given away the free kick there, but the forward set up for St Kilda just looks so much more dangerous. They're creating heaps of space, and a one-on-one 15 metres out from goal, more times than not, that is going to result in a St Kilda goal. And as we go down the other end, St Kilda on the opposite have been able to get plenty of numbers back and make it hard for the Swans to score.
There's going to be some tight bodies pretty soon with you. We're going to see this sort of transition play, aren't we? Running from one end to the other.
Free kick was there.
King with the tap. Trying to do the roving as well. Not a lot else to report.
Oh, King was good then, though. He had 3 efforts then, Stephen King. That was fantastic work from the big fella. Down on the ground, Luke.
What a physical presence he'll be if Jolie wins the argument that time. Luke Ball, speaking of staying fit, wouldn't Saints fans dearly love to him back at his best. Good connection on the kick. Lee Fisher was one of the late inclusions for Gehrig and Blake, and there is namesake. Poking it back for Raf Clark. He had Barry Hall bearing down, couldn't get out of there quick enough. Uses the skills to do so, made it tough for Sam Fisher. And the Swans will be disappointed with that. Unnecessary.
Barry,
that's a
your kick. You got rid of the ball and you put it in the ground.
I think Barry's prepared to give one away there, and I think he's going to say, young guy Raf Clark, he has been a little bit indifferent over the summer. I'll throw him to the ground and let him know I'm around. I don't think that's a bad one.
No, just that they were about to force the turnover, and as it turns out, it doesn't matter anyway, because Leo Barry gets the anticipation right and makes the chop off. So just the 1 goal so far, and we've been going 8.5 minutes.
Buchanan to O'Loughlin as, again, the Swans are all up on the other side of the centre, or were. Lachlan forced to go short and give it back to Eamon Buchanan.
It's interesting, this, isn't it? I mean, I find this a great bit of chess at the moment. Ross Lyon is doing what the Swans have done to most teams for the last 4 or 5 years. It's interesting.
Richards, Bevan, Jack, weaving and waiting, going to Kurt, who is a left footer. He's well wide though of his targets, who were Grundy and Buchanan, so there'll be a throw in.
This is a frustrating start. You need to get a kick in this, because sometimes you can actually go 15 minutes. Someone like Barry Hall might not end up touching the footy because of this frustration and players getting back there. And then you start giving away. He's already given away 2 free kicks. You see the frustrating building on him.
A light nudge that time. Stephen King awarded the free kick and gives to Robert Harvey. Game number 360. Charlie Gardner.
That's his role on the side, to relieve Nick Riewoldt of doing that. Push up to the wing, keep this guy deep. I reckon Ross Lyon would be saying to Riewoldt, we even want you deeper than that. Let someone else push up that high. Need Riewoldt closer to goal.
Michael Gardner on the ground too for the Saints.
Riewoldt into the 50, all Sydney there, but 3 of them flew. Milne was whipping by the pack and popping it through for the Saints second. They look good.
Classic Stephen Milne play, that is. He's made a living out of it. Getting himself to the front and centre. There he is. That is a specialist role. And when he does it that well, he just looks so good. He loves a contest like that. A couple of Swans just spilled themselves, and Milne will be there all night long.
A couple of big blokes the Saints would love to get back into their team in Matt Maguire and Fraser Garrick, but they're doing all right without them at the moment. Blighty, they're looking good.
Certainly are. Real mess up by the Sydney defenders, though, wasn't it? Terrible mess up.
It was Gardner getting the hit down, and again they're escaping out of the middle. Sam Fisher, we know he can run, but this is young Geary, Darren Geary, who since he's come on the ground. His 4th possession coming up. Fairly crowded forward 50, so displays it out wide, and there's the free kick against Jolie to Michael Gardner. They should know the rules by now, that he has to go back behind the man on the mark.
He chopped his arms. We're looking at the footy in the end.
Michael Gardner too far out to score. Again, it's pretty congested deep. Snyder's loose down there if it falls to the back of the pack, which it does, and there he is. Adam on the spot, couldn't make the most of it. Fiora. Late on the scene, Nick Davis. Jared Moore. Oh, he bit off a little bit more than he could chew, and it might have cost him a goal. It's a torrent of goals for the Saints right now. 3-1-19, and Sydney looking decidedly ordinary.
Well, this is a great snap from Nick Riewoldt there. Playing one short in the forward line. They have the Sydney Swans, and they're paying the price at the moment because the Saints are using it beautifully.
The Swans are in deep trouble early.
Big job too when you've got Lewis Roberts-Thompson as your second ruckman, isn't it?
I reckon they could actually use Adam Goods in the ruck. He hasn't done it since 2003. He won a Brownlow medal, and then we know he injured his knee doing it, and they've kept him away from it. That would cause St Kilda a bit of trouble if he went back into the ruck.
13 minutes into the match, Sydney haven't had a disposal inside their attacking 50. They'll try and build an attack here. Buchanan to Jude Bolton, brilliantly smothered by Schneider, the former Swan. Oh, double tackle there on Xavier Clark. He's down and in some bother.
Oh, no.
That doesn't look good.
Both dived on at the same time.
Everything going right until now for the Saints. Hopefully it's not too serious. 2 of them, and the leg twisted under him.
Gee,
could be anything, but he's up and he's going on with the game. That's a good sign. McVeigh to Buchanan, who's had a bit of it, but the Swans keep going nowhere. And leaping Leo was glued to the ground. Buchanan, brilliant smothering again by the Saints. They are playing sensational footy. Montagna to Harvey. And back to Montagna. And here comes St Nick. Couldn't hang on to it. Clark forced to the bench.
He tried to stay out there, but the pain too much for him. And there's a fair bit of pain for the Swans just at the moment. They look hesitant. The Saints, of course, in rip-roaring form coming in. Is out a free to St Kilda or Sydney? It's going to St Kilda. Luke Ball on the bottom of all that. Just as the Swans were about to escape. Now this is going to be a good early season test just to see whether Luke Ball's got any more penetration in his kick than we saw at times last year.
He's right on the mark.
He doesn't even try, just lays the handball off. Scrappy kick, Jude Bolton takes the mark from the Montagna delivery. But as we talked about, it's just Craig Bolton, the hesitation showing on his face. Kicks as long and as wide as he can. That's the best he could have hoped for. It landed just inside the line. Johnny Beckwith couldn't have done better, Tim.
Oh, the rugby fans would love it, wouldn't they?
And are you going to tell me that was deliberate, Tim?
No, I'm not, Malcolm.
No? Okay.
No, I'm a Craig Bolton fan.
It was, though, but
It was beautifully executed. Now, the Swans swing it forward, but Michael O'Loughlin has three for company. Geary, Hudgton, Geary, Sam Fisher, and St Kilda running in a wave. This is an emphatic start. Graham to Jones. Away they go again. Fiora, one of the late inclusions. Barry has it though. Now, Leo, get out of there. Matner putting his head down into Milne. Forced to retreat to Kennelly. Now Richards provides adequate support. He goes wide too. Roberts Thompson, Graham with him, seeing him over. The contrast between these two teams couldn't be more stark early.
Well, Ross Lyon has come across from many years at Sydney, and Sydney's best part of their game with their pressure skills, well, it's the reverse now. They are feeling the pressure of St Kilda, and as a result, turning the footy over all the time.
look at that inside 50 stat, the 10-2, and the Swans doing what they know to do to try and get back in the game. That's lay lots of tackles.
Well, I just structurally the Swans have, and this sounds silly, got to play man on man. St Kilda are getting one back extra, and they're hurting him with their kick.
Fiora hammed it up for all it was worth, but it was a free. It was there. It wouldn't matter in the end because Hayes is streaming forward again. Stephen King's been thrust forward to throw another conundrum at Paul Roos. Well done, though, by Bolton and Kennelly. Pretty bold stuff on the last line, but that's what they're well known for. Kirk. Piercing kick for Ablett. He just got there, or did he? No, he didn't now. He could be in trouble.
Hit the ground. Hit the ground.
If he doesn't play the mark, it really is holding the ball, isn't it?
Well, it was, oh yeah, no, good decision not to pay the mark.
Well, and he knows it. He knows he hasn't taken the mark, so why isn't it holding the ball?
Unusual coming from you, Tim. Free kick goes to Gilbert.
Got to be flexible in the modern game, Hutto.
It's very true. Through the middle, Schneider had good awareness with Craig Bird bearing down. Now, Swans have got a lot of numbers inside the 50. They've spread out. So trying to find a hole won't be easy. Geary forced to go wide and try to get over Leo Barry's head. He didn't really have to leap too much that time, Leo. But he looks up on the board and sees a 19-point margin.
Which is not insurmountable. It's not catastrophic, but the way it's been achieved is a little startling.
They don't look like scoring, do they, at all?
Well, it actually should be 6-0 probably on play. So the Swans have just got those extra guys back. Got to play man on man for a while here. The Swans, I mean, I know it's their game, but they're getting beaten at it.
King and Gardner both at that ruck contest for the Saints. King eventually became the rover. There's a high tackle. It's St Kilda's ball again. Montagna, who's having a lot of it. This will be disposal number 7. Del Santo, who hasn't been conspicuous among their array of stars early. Now Gilbert. St Kilda using the corridor. A little dab and absolutely. Once against one of Anthony Hudson's favourite players.
It was smart play, Tim, because he just knows where to run. He saw him on the screen there. He just stopped and doubled back and thought, I'm in a bit of space. Lewis Roberts-Thompson was his opponent trying to head back, and he's normally a good kick for goal, apart from then.
Well done, Tim.
That might be all right. It's landed inside. That's not bad. They can set it up from here. Did he play for that, Hutto?
Oh, beautifully designed that kick. Free kick count, incidentally, boys, is 9-1 in favour of the Saints.
Yeah.
Roberts-Thompson against King. Hard man to get past. Clinton Jones went for it. Here's young Craig Bird. He's impressed in the pre-season, and that's a beautifully placed kick for O'Loughlin. They must be feeling a bit cold playing in the forward line. O'Keefe working hard, trying to make Graham accountable. Both players very damaging for their respective sides. Looks like Darren Jolly might have pushed deep for the Swans. If he does choose to go for the long option, he doesn't. Back for Barry instead. He can push to Roberts-Thompson on this side of the ground if he decides to. Still might via Marty Matner. At least they're inside 50, but again the odds against the forwards. Clark's made a good recovery. And onto the left. That time it was the Saints going forward a little headless because there was really no one to go to. Buchanan. Very short to Ted Richards. Leo Barry on the end of it. Not really conventional footy. We've become accustomed to nights like this every now and then over the years. And Craig Bird getting a taste of the pace of AFL footy. Montagna made the fast break there. Snyder tried to accommodate, but it's going to have to come back.
Had his wings clipped, did Craig Bird.
Good to get the early pun in, Tim.
It's an original and a goodie. St Kilda's ball. We've had more than 20 minutes of play, and still the Swans haven't had a disposal of the football within 50 metres of goal. It's been an annihilation. Geary, Sam Fisher, clever little kick over the top, and Xavier Clark, who looked as though he might be out of the game, out of the season 7 or 8 minutes ago, is back. Sam Fisher again, crowded 50, goes for big Michael Gardner. At the fall, Lee Fisher, a late inclusion, kicks it like a defender. The Saints lead by 20.
Showed good patience there, the Saints. When Sydney push numbers back, if you bomb away, you're playing into their hands. So Ross Lyon has put a lot of work into St Kilda and explained on a slow play, you've just got to be patient, hold the ball, and able to get a shot on goal against those numbers is a pretty good result.
Revolt having a rest. Maxie Hudson coming back on. That's an unusual swap. Forward for a defender. Kirk takes the mark on the way out. No infringement on Lenny Hayes. Just the 2 possessions for Kirk so far. And that is very unusual. Pushing very wide for O'Keefe.
This becomes their problem because the Saints have got extra players back. Has to be kicking great.
And then Hall spills the beans. Hudson just sweating on him. Over to Milne. He also goes for the boundary line so they can reset. Plenty of changes being made for both teams. Coaches, of course, free to make as many as they like now after the restrictions of the NAB Cup. Bolton a free advantage taken by Kieran Jack. Kicks to the space, looking for Bird. He flew, but couldn't take the mark. Gets the free. He's got O'Keefe on if he wants him over the top. I'm sure he will. Can they conjure something here? McVeigh is loose if he went very short. He goes wider into a man who had some pressure on him. Grundy's drawn the infringement.
It's amazing what a switch of play will do in footy, isn't it? I mean, it's been blocked up. All of a sudden, they quickly switched from a free kick, and they've ended up with a shot at goal. There is a way around all this.
Didn't kick a lot of goals last year. 5 games for 1 goal. Then he played 3 in defence, Heath Grundy, but has been a handy forward at times in the past, and he's more than handy there. It's a terrific goal.
It's going to be hard work if you have to keep kicking goals from that pocket, though. Like, just They did switch play. They've tried to do it a few times, but not with any fluency. But that one was a good switch, and eventually that's a free kick all the time now, and it was a nice kick. Saw him play his first game, this lad, and he got votes in the Brownlow for it from memory, and hasn't quite come on.
The benches working overtime in the early part. St Kilda have made 20. Remember, the maximum in the pre-season comp in shorter games was 16. And the Swans already at that number of 16. Sydney's first goal, their first disposal inside the 50. Took 23 minutes to come. It produced their first goal. But if they're disposing of the ball inside their 50 at that rate, they're going to have a low-scoring night. Luke Ball takes a free.
Geez, he's smart, King.
Free kicks keep stacking up for the Saints. Now Fiora, almost within his range there. The man on the mark will be at 48. Pulled back 2 metres by the umpire. Fiora, disciplined kick. Michael Gardner and Revolt both there. So is Ted Richards and McVeigh. And more. Swans are away, but he doesn't have much in his eye line. Now Bird. Just feathering it. Getting it back to Moore under the pump. Craig Bolton. And Sydney continually forced to retreat. Here's a man who doesn't know the word retreat. Kennelly. Turned over by Moore. Revolt to Montagna for the Saints' fourth. A miss.
Great pressure skills from the St Kilda side. Lee Montagna, pretty disappointed in himself. They are just fumbling under pressure. They're seasoned players. It was Kennelly then and Kirk also combining. Full credit to St Kilda. They are putting the Sydney side under enormous pressure around the footy.
And the clearance count is 13-4 at the moment in favour of the Saints. Marty Matner for Bolton. Left to screen. Goods there as well. And again, it's just this inch-by-inch approach.
I think, just looking back, Darren Jolly has got to become the link man like King. He's sitting towards forward. He doesn't know quite what to do, whether to go with King or stay with him or move off him. I'd actually use him as the linchpin, clear everybody else out and put him at centre-half forward and kick it to him.
Richards goes for Hall. He just sensed for a moment Hall had the read on Hudson, which he did. That was well played by both players. Just made his move and turned Hudson inside out just for a microsecond.
His work rate's been very high, Barry Hall. Hasn't had an enormous impact on this contest and hasn't helped with the amount of numbers that have been back in front of him. You can see that he's leading hard, as he always does. But the positive thing, I think, is the way he's moving. He looks a bit more uninhibited than he did last year.
Yes, it wasn't the same Barry Hall we'd become accustomed to last year. Misfires there and through for a behind. 44 goals last year. The previous 4 he'd kicked between 64 and 80.
A goal there would have been a big lift.
And not a real reflection on the first quarter. That would have been sensational for the Swans, wouldn't it?
Could have been within 9 points. Raph Clark brings it back to Geary. Geary was about 5 weeks old when Robert Harvey played his first game for St Kilda. Remarkable. Charlie Gardner to Fisher. Now Fiora, who surprised him with his left foot, shouldn't have done. They should all know that. Oh, Clement Del Santo, and he has been loose. Oh, this is a certain goal. Kajitsky Revolt there as well. The hand pass was on, but Kajitsky going back to nail it from the set shot.
They've got the mix right, haven't they? They know when to steady and they know when to hold on the footy. And then Fiora had enough instinct to say, we're on a fast break. And they're catching the Sydney defenders out every time they play on.
And this for a lead more indicative of the trend of the opening term. In the last 20 seconds, Kajitsky drives it home. And it's the Saints by 20 points.
You're absolutely right, Luke. That fast movement from the kick out. And isn't it amazing when someone takes them on? Rarely do you get caught. Have a look at that. I mean, he just got touched. Smart. Didn't try and mark it 2 hands. 1 hand was enough to stop it. and then just having the awareness. But that pace, a couple of the Swans' younger players, Geary and Bird, have got caught, but I hope they keep trying it, because that's the way to play at this level.
Poor checking on Fiora's left side there. It was as though they were just imagining he was a right footer. Let him slip away unfettered.
27-7, closing down on quarter time. Against Roberts Thompson.
How good's this bloke?
It's a bit of a worry for him, Roberts Thompson on King. Just hasn't got the size or the experience to go with...
Oh, Jeff Ferring. Not quite. All right, it is quarter time, and it's all St Kilda, 4-3-27 to 1-1-7.
Yeah, Stephen King on screen there has had an outstanding first. Spoken about the move. I think Goods has got to go into the ruck, take them on. They need to find a winner somewhere, Hutto.
As you were with the ruckman, Jolly and Stephen King. Adam Goods has only had the one possession. He's in the midfield as we start this second term. And Hayes over the top of it. Again, we're seeing this propensity for stoppages. So let's talk some more about Adam Goods, Das. What are we going to see from him, do you think, from here on in?
Well, he's just had the one possession, Hutto, so he's really got to get himself involved in the play. And at the moment, I'd love to see him go and play in the ruck. He's done that in the past and been outstanding. It would be a big question mark on King and also Gardner if Goods went to him. What do? Have they got the fitness base to keep up with him? I'd say no. Just can't get himself into the game at the moment.
Well, Lee Fisher came in, and Blake in the past has played a fair bit of time on Adam Goods.
Tim, we agree.
Oh, Malcolm.
Jack, low ball, and a good ball for O'Keefe. Hall staying right back in the square. Jolly down there as well. So they are the two tall options. O'Loughlin looking to double back for a lead, but instead...
That's it, Charlie.
It's going to go via Leo Barry and then back to O'Keefe again, and they can set up. Grundy makes a sharp lead into the pocket. It was on that side, and you could see that O'Keefe was going to run with the left and go for Grundy. Now Barry might be forced to handball. O'Keefe. That's a dangerous kick. Matner got a free. Takes the advantage. Playing on. Ran his full measure. And unfortunately, the direction wasn't there for him.
Barry Hall had made a really good lead then. He'd had about 5 metres on his opponent, but that chipping around, not going direct, and he was out of position by the time that he should have got the footy. So he's working hard, not getting many opportunities at the moment.
Well, the Swans like to be very particular with their kicking to the 50, don't they? And St Kilda getting back in such numbers that they just can't see targets they like, the Swannies. Spillage here favours Sydney, and Jolly can mop it up at the back and give to Davis, who does have targets inside, but they're going to be chopped off. And St Kilda could yet be dangerous here. Montagna contested with Matner. Schneider, clever hand pass. Montagna legged. Free kick to the Saints.
Bring it back, Trip. Just slip too low. And run!
Sydney don't want to concede the first goal here. This could be getting away from them early. Could have got away from them before quarter time. Charlie Gardner. Not a bad placement, but Luke Ball having to fly for St Kilda, and he had the numbers against him. Kirk to Barry. Free kick to Sydney. Nick Davis down the back, comes away with it. Again, there's no target. All he can see are black jumpers, so he has to delay. Goods held up by Graham. Gives to Kennelly, been going to Barry Hall's barber. Goods again, letting go of it. Still just one disposal, letting go of it again. Now a legitimate disposal, and it's a pretty good one on the left side to McVeigh,
who has some options to his left. Kirk, one of them. O'Keefe leads, got Jolly longer, went short, and made it awfully difficult initially for Bevan. McVeigh does show some initiative, but Hayes and now Ralph Clark, and the Saints can glide out of defence. Montagna confronted by 3 Swans. Good harassment from Jack. Great courage from O'Keefe. Numbers against Barry Hall here. Be happy if it was to bounce, but it doesn't. Fisher getting back.
Always playing one short in the forward line. Swans are Hutchinson and free here. There's a loose Swans player somewhere. This has caused them a lot of grief, this, by not playing man-on-man and pushing up into their forward line. The Swans are hurting themselves here, I believe.
Very crowded up ahead of Sam Fisher. The flood's on across the midfield, and he has very little to go to. He chose a good target. Fiora just couldn't quite hang on. Luke Ball gives it back to him, and the left-footed dances and delays because, again, the targets just aren't there. So Sydney now playing St Kilda at the same sort of game. Sam Fisher having to hold it up. Ball in close attendance, Jude Bolton. So a throw in.
That's the first win the Swans have had, I reckon. You know,
King, but Good's got a hand in there to Jolly. He had to blaze blind, and it was straight to Sam Fisher.
Charlie Gardner's on in the middle of the ground. Revolt holds his ground back in the goal square. Milne back there also. So Gilbert's got some targets. He knows that. Goes short. Like all the attention was on Revolt and Kazitsky deep. And Stephen Milne just popped up. 45 from goal. This is right on the range for Stephen Milne.
And that's the difference, Hutto, in the two structures. When Sydney go forward, you see numbers back and you see a couple of defenders. Stephen Milne had 25 metres of space, and that's all the forward needs. 32
goals last year. Went out to the right just to try and get that little bit of extra leverage. And the kick faded, unfortunately, for St Kilda and for Stephen Milne. But they're 4-4-28. Sydney 1-2-8. Swans playing better, but not really seeing anything on the board for it.
Long option for Barry is Nick Davis. So two deep forwards, Davis and O'Loughlin, coming up beyond the centre to provide targets. O'Loughlin now to Matner, smothered. Gee, there's been a lot of that tonight. St Kilda's checking work has been tremendous. Davis, Kirk and McVeigh get Sydney out of the trouble for the moment. Kick to Jack, bounced off one Saint, but into trouble. O'Keefe had a second look and delivers beautifully to Buchanan, who just looked as though he was a bit ginger there.
That's called being at full tilt. Didn't he go hard to get that?
He did. This is where Sydney, in their best days, were able to find another pass 20 metres down the track. At the moment, that just doesn't look like happening.
From a fair way out, it's a lovely kick from the left footer from Kolak, and the Swans pull one back.
Good player, Paul Bevan. He just an Eamon Buchanan having that shot at goal. In the past, I think Sydney as a side have had a lot of patience and they've been able to hit up their sleeves. Now the kick in the end by Buchanan was good enough to score a goal, but they need to be able to hit that target 25 metres down the line. If there's numbers back, are they good enough to keep hitting the target up?
How's that marker Kieran Jacks coming back in unknown for a youngster? Fantastic.
Some better signs then for the Swans. Both goals, though, have been kicked from tight angles, haven't they, for Sydney? Hard to keep spearing them through from there. But the contest is more even than it has been than any time during the match so far. The margin 14. Saints trying to do something about that. Richards versus Kazitsky. Just a loose hand. And now Kennelly, who's trying to give them some run, but from very, very deep at the moment. We haven't really seen him do any damage from right up across half back. There's Gilbert, intercepted by Goods. At least getting a feel for the footy. Barry Hall had the edge there on Hudson, and he's inside the 50. And really, at the Telstra Dome, we've seen Barry Hall kick goals from this distance in the past.
This would be a good indicator, Malcolm, of how his groin is. Yep. This is probably right on his maximum range at full fitness. Don't think he could have kicked this last year, but I reckon he's going to have a crack at it right now.
It's to kick at what, 4 metres on the fly, right on his distance.
Averages just over 2 goals a game against the Saints, which is below his average in his career.
I'd say he made that easy.
Fortunately, he missed though, Blighty. Has 2 behinds for the night.
Poorly. They've been beaten and they're only 13 points down.
You said pre-match, Luke. I think that they really get beaten easily. And even when they're being seriously outpointed, they have that champion's ability to stay close, partly due to their style, of course. Hall thought Hudson was off, and I'll tell you what, it was a line ball. Now Sam Fisher. Again, heavy numbers up in the 50. Revolt is there having to go the spoil. Kennelly, Matner with him. Xavier Clark diving in over it, so we'll need to get rid of it, and he didn't.
Good decision.
Swans ball, Matner stabbing it to Buchanan. game now being played on something like level terms. Buchanan not quite hitting the target, but Grundy can collect under no pressure and deliver to O'Keefe. Gilbert rattling the spoil away. Throw in coming up.
It was a pretty poor kick from Grundy. Had heaps of time and heaps of space. Hasn't played a lot of footy for the Swans. They work on being able to hit that target up, and when you miss it, it doesn't go so well.
13 the margin.
That's it.
Jolly, just a little clumsy. Got the handball off. Low ball from Jack. Perfect for Barry Hall, who all of a sudden has come right into this match.
That's Kieran Jack again.
Yeah.
Mate, take note.
Son of a famous rugby league player, Das.
Gary Jack.
Yep.
Big fan of his. It's a great pass, though, wasn't it?
It's two great. It's two really important things he's done.
For his first for the night, Barry Hall. This is their simplest shot at goal, and he makes no mistake. And all of a sudden, this really is a contest.
Well, I think, and that was good from Jolly, wasn't it? The big man getting down after a ball, and that beautiful skill. Barry trying to milk a 50, but yeah,
Curved it off the instep.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Hall really threatening now. 1-2 looks menacing. He always looks menacing.
And O'Loughlin's playing up the ground further, which is interesting too. He's got a couple of nice touches.
It is game on. Del Santo to ball. Just pulling it and not really getting it in the sweet spot. Ted Richards, Jack having an influence. Roberts Thompson, Kennelly. Saints are back.
Kick.
Lovely kick, Kennelly. Ablett, 70 out and closing. Goes very long. There's just a goal in it, and you wouldn't have thought that possible the way the game was played for the first 20 minutes.
Montagna takes it quickly. He's had 12 possessions tonight. Placed just a little bit off the placement there for Clark. And Jack again, you can see he's getting a cult following already amongst the Swans fans here tonight, and there's plenty of them. Ablett, we know he's got a boot on him, just doesn't quite hit the target. Bird, pretty agile there. Centering ball was a good one. It's dangerous. Hall coming out. Just eluded him. But the body work of Bolton was inspiring. Hudson, very steadfast in defence. The Clarks treading some water, waiting for the options to open up. Clinton Jones, not known for his great disposal, so puts it in better hands. Clark, lovely pass. It was good patience by the Saints. The full forward stayed deep, and it's Kazitsky to come out.
He worked that really well, and I watched him right throughout that half of the ground. He went back on Ted Richards, watching that contest there from Kieran Jack, who we've been very impressed with. But it was Kazitsky's work rate that really impressed me. He's playing on Ted Richards, and he just blew him up. You can see Richards there behind with his hands on his head. He just worked too hard for him. Great sign. That's a good matchup for St Kilda. Richards on Kazitsky. I'd isolate those two.
Third mark of the night for Kazitsky, coming in for his second goal. No movement behind the goals, and you can see why it hits the post. And that's one the Saints could have done with.
It was a great build-up to that, though. It's exciting down the back end. St Kilda swept it away with some fantastic running, smartness and awareness, and just showing because he just couldn't quite nail it.
That front end looks good with Revolt and Kazitsky alongside each other. Of course, there's the bearded Fraser Gehrig to come back. Here's McVeigh, well tackled by Fiora. Given a bit of leeway by the umpire. Kirk's hand pass, putting Craig Bolton horribly under the pump. And now Revolt can wait, just cannot see anything. And the reason he can't is that there's nothing there. Del Santo went to ground. Two Swans ran into each other. There'll be a ball up.
Saints fans thought it should have been a free to Del Santo.
I think that's a good call. You are allowed to stand your ground in footy. I think that's a good call.
Kazitsky climbing in. Just couldn't help it to a St Kilda little man. Swans swarming around the ball, and Moore is able to get it onto his boot and gain 50 metres or so. Sam Fisher attacking it.
Actually, I'd like to go back to that, Tim. I reckon that's being penalised when someone just holds their ground. I saw a couple again today, one on Thursday night. You're allowed to hold your ground in footy. You don't have to run if you don't want to. You agree?
I agree with you, Malcolm. Yeah, I'm with you all the way there.
Sorry, mate, I just... yeah, you can. I mean, it's part of the game, isn't it? Put your body...
And I think perhaps umpires are so conscious of the hands in the back rule. We probably just missed it before that. But so conscious of that, they're paying free kicks that aren't there. So your point is a very good one.
Leo Barry trying to engineer another thrust forward. Well done by Kennelly, just escapes and almost delivers for Hall. He still might get it here. O'Keefe gets it back to Barry Hall. Brute strength from Barry. Is it enough? No. Drag down. Was it high? No. And it's going to end up with a bit of an anti-climax. Out of bounds on the full.
Hasn't there been some great individual bits of play? Was the game lifted or went all that flooding?
That should have been. He was unlucky. Yep.
And the crowd get a look at that now, and you can hear the groan. And they might be groaning some more here, the Saints fans. No, Graham gets away.
And finds Robert Harvey. Oh, getting himself into an awful pickle and giving it up. Pickled Harvey. Now Barry. 65 out. Hall's got the run up there, send the leap. O'Keefe the man down, got a couple of metres, got a man inside him, just couldn't get it to Jude Bolton. We've got a game.
Barry Hall on screen there, Blighty. I reckon he's moving really, really well. He launched himself at that footy. Hasn't dominated yet. Have a look at this. That means you're absolutely unencumbered. In a couple of weeks' time, when he gets his timing right, he'll take those and he could be back to his best, Hutto.
He's picking on Raf Clark again there, Das. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, we haven't really seen him leap like that for probably a couple of years. High ball from Sam Fisher, getting plenty of it. 13 possessions tonight. Harvey was the target. Ablett.
In the back. Quite right.
Free kick to McVeigh. Barry Hall is a fair way up. In fact, he's coming off the ground, Barry Hall. Being replaced by O'Loughlin. So they're a bit devoid of genuine forward targets here. The timing wasn't great on that interchange. Jude Bolton's going to have to fly against Stephen King, and Del Santo, who doesn't usually do his best work overhead, takes the mark, and you can see what Paul Roos thinks of all that. I wonder if Barry Hall had an injury or it was just the rotation. I think it's just the rotation. Snyder.
Yeah, it's interesting all that, isn't it? Not for now, but the interchange and when to do it.
Fisher for Hayes, little shrug of the hips. Haven't seen much of this for a while for the Saints. Going forward, Swans getting back in disciplined fashion. There's Jack again into the middle of the ground. Jolie, an open forward line, kicks for the space, kicks for Jude Bolton. Two of the game's prime midfielders, Jude Bolton and Nick Del Santo, tangling. And hasn't the momentum changed in this match?
We didn't see that once in the first quarter. Didn't see an open forward line for Sydney at all. Saw plenty of it for St Kilda. It's just turned around. Look at that setup there. Space. Jude Bolton and midfielder running into it. That is exactly what you want. Time and space in the forward line. They've been able to reverse the trend.
6 goals, 10 last year. Jude Bolton not always the most reliable in front of goal. That looks a little ugly, but it's a perfect result. Scores level.
Yes, here's the kick from Lenny Hayes. Just missed it. It slipped over, actually. And there's that man, Kieran Jack.
He's had a big quarter, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's huge. And that's a lovely way to kick, isn't it? So that's what Jolly is now in a dangerous position. I think as a ruckman, you've either got to sit with your ruckman or get into a dangerous position. And that was terrific from him then.
Have a look at the clearance graph on screen here. St Kilda won it 13-4 in the first quarter, and the Swans have been able to arrest that in the second quarter. They've won the clearances in this second quarter and got themselves back into the contest by doing it.
Now the big swings and the free kicks. It was 13-5 St Kilda's way in the first quarter. It's 8-1 Sydney's way in the second. 27 given well before half-time. Bird, Kirk. Here's Bevan. His path blocked. Well blocked by Del Santo. It is physical in there. Free to the Saints, and Xavier Clark breaks away. Revolt's on the lead. Delivery good. Need to move it quickly. It's a rare chance. They haven't kicked a goal in this quarter. Harvey and Goods. Can the veteran do it? 4 Brownlows between them. Harvey has a go for home. Kozitsky's marked it, but he's not going to be given it. Let's take it off him.
50.
50, let's go. 50, let's go.
What do you think, Blighty? How did you read that? Was he holding his ground, or did he?
No, actually, I think that Richards had hold of him, and then Kozi's just pulled him down. I think it's probably right. However, the umpire didn't see it. And what would he have said? That was a really bad decision, umpire, and he got 50 for it?
Mr. Umpire.
Yeah, Mr. Umpire. Oh.
Jolly to Davis. The Swans can be in front with a score.
Actually, I know inflation's going silly, but it was 15 metres in the old days, and you said a mouthful. Now you can't say anything, you get 50.
Davis, ever the unconventional one, just blazes long. It is Sydney's 50. There is a free kick. St Kilda's way. Del Santo doing some good defensive work.
Free kick against Craig Bird. One Debenham, there's another one. Jaron Geary. Oh boy, that was just a little bit complacent. It wasn't a great kick, but Snyder against his old teammates. Under the tutelage now of Ross Lyon. Snyder just 3 possessions, not having much impact at all in this game. Jolly and King. Fiora can't escape the clutches of Davis.
He's back. St Kilda, Aaron Fiora.
You're going to get away with it. Maybe he just held on a bit long and then fell into his back there, Davis. Here's Geary. He won't be complacent this time. Harvey and Clark sort things out. Revolt the target, as it so often is, on the wing. Over ball's head, McVeigh.
Great tackle.
Oh, wasn't that fierce stuff? Well, Luke Ball might have lost a bit of running and kicking penetration, but his tackling is still an outstanding feature of his game. And let's hope he does get back to his full best. Scores level. 4 minutes to go in this second term from the Dome. Saturday night footy, round 1. Jolly down the throat of Buchanan. Was that a throw?
Got rid of it. Got rid of it. Come on, punch it.
Jolly and King. Buchanan and Hayes and McVeigh underneath. Stephen King tackling both players there. He's big enough. Just put his big bare arms out. Swallowed up 2 of them.
You still love him, don't you, Hutto?
It's unusual for him not to be playing in a grand final. I think 3 of his last 5 matches have been grand finals. Might be a bit boring for him.
Bring it back, and he's back.
It's actually a real art, that. I mean, any young player watching, as you get tackled to throw yourself forward, you usually can milk a free kick, can't you? Unless you can't stand up in it, go forward.
There wasn't much Robert Harvey could do. He just had to go with the
Of
tackle.
course he did.
The free kick was there.
Scores level late in the opening half. Hall forced to go the spoil. Geary taken over.
We should follow that up, though, and say it is quite legitimate because you actually went to the ball first and got it first. So you deserve something, don't you?
Fair call.
King shunted out by Jolly. Clear free kick. Saints allowed to break. Fisher poking it forward. Ablett getting back for the Swans. Roberts-Thompson held it for a while and gave it up. Montagna, oh, it's wide open here for the Saints. Milne might just take on Kennelly and run all the way home. This is thrilling. And Milne, brilliant. Brilliant by Milne, and Michael Gardner can have the shot. What great presence of mind.
Yeah, it was fantastic by Stephen Milne, but not so clever from Leo Barry because he got sucked into the contest. He had to trust Ty Kennelly here that he was going to guard the space and make Milne kick the impossible goal.
Michael Gardner. Awful miscue. Puts the Saints in front, but it should have been a bigger lead than that. I didn't think Stephen Milne had that in him. I thought he'd be so excited.
No, I actually agree with Luke there. If you're going to guard the goal, all you can guard is about 6'5" of it, or 2.5 metres. At least you can guard a man.
Only problem was Darcy kicked it to a ruckman. McVeigh. Jolly the target, King with him, and ball underneath. So we really I think, boys, didn't see this coming, did we, in the first quarter, that the Swans could be almost in front by half-time.
I just feel most of this game is being won and lost right there in the coach's box, even though Paul Roos is on the boundary line. Ross Lyon and Paul Roos know each other so well. Big psychological battle going on here between the two coaches.
Paul and Fisher contrived to get it forward. A game of inches it could become.
Well, it's opened up this quarter, which has suited the Swans, ironically, more. And here's this Milne kick. And there is Barry trying to guard a spot that's got 100 metres high. I mean, it's just wrong.
Gardner, Kennelly, Snyder, just stolen away. A couple of Swans boys tangling with Snyder afterwards. Here's Buchanan. Moore ready for the handball if he wants to give it. He does.
Kick.
O'Loughlin hasn't had a big say in this match yet.
Oh, well done.
But you can never count him out.
It was just a perfectly weighted kick, Hutto. You can see him, just see O'Loughlin running to the space at the back. And the champ's done the rest.
So, Blighty, I'm interested in your thoughts. I mean, you talked about, or was it you, Das, that said the match being played in the coach's box a lot at the moment, the tactics. What has Paul Roos done? You said the game's opened up a bit. Watch the kick from O'Loughlin first and see if we can talk about that a little more in a moment. Here's O'Loughlin's kick, steady, just away to the right, so scores level again. What else has he done apart from being able to free the game up a little bit?
Well, I think he's manufactured a bit of space in his forward line. St Kilda flooded early, and then they weren't able to get through at that particular stage of the game. But that kick there going back over the top, he's been able to get his forwards running back with the flight. And they've played on a little bit more, and they've been a little bit more direct, Blighty. They've taken a risk, and it's paid off. I think at the moment, Ross Lyon feels as though St Kilda have thrown their best at them. Scores a level. For mine, the psychological battle is with the Swans at the moment. They've been able to get themselves back into this game. And it feels as though Sydney have given St Kilda have given their best shot.
And I think if you find the kick to teammate ratios of St Kilda going forward has been a lot less. A lot of the kicks haven't hit like they did in that first quarter. So you're going to turn it over when you do that.
And they're coming out of defence the hard way right now. Here's King. Goods edging him under it. There'll be a throw in. I think that miss from O'Loughlin was the appropriate result. Scores dead level. Sydney hasn't been in front through this opening half. A goal there would have put them in front in the last minute. Jude Bolton putting his head down. Ablett, touch ball. Jolly nervous about the bounce. Another throw in. They're going to go to half-time dead level.
They're a remarkable side, Sydney. I reckon 14 other teams who had played that badly in the first 15 minutes, the game would have been all over. At half-time, they're dead level. I don't know how they do it.
I think in the mood St Kilda were in, they would have steamrolled just about any other team. They were ready to go right over the top of them, but as it is dead level at the halfway point.
And it is a surprise. The Saints were that good that early, and then that man, Paul Roos, from the boundary line, looking at his team. Bolton got busy then, Jude Bolton. McVeigh got some kicks around the ball, and Ryan O'Keefe and young Kieran Jack. They were the 4 stars of that quarter for the Sydney Swans.
It was a big second quarter. They kicked 3-5 to 3 behinds and scores a level at halftime. 4-6-30 apiece at halftime. Revolt, the only multiple goal kicker so far, but we are set for a big second half. Swans underdogs coming in. Let's find out a little bit more. I think we're talking footy this time with the NAB analyzer.
Thanks, Hutto. The NAB analyzer's been taking a look at Nick Revolt. You wonder why he gets so many uncontested marks. Well, that's it there. He's playing on Craig Bolton, all-Australian defender. Look at the double in second and third leads. He doubles back now, pretends he doesn't want the footy. His work rate for a guy who's 6'5" is absolutely enormous. Gets the footy so well. Now, look at this. I love the way he did this. This is Kazitsky in the goal square. See Revolt in the back of the screen there. A lot of players, I reckon 90% of players would have called for a quick handball over the top. He turned his back, said go back and kick the goal, Cosy. Good for your confidence. Unselfish play from a captain of a club. Really good leadership, and it's been a pleasure to sit here and watch him in the first half.
Craig Bolton still alongside him. Revolt with 2 goals and 9 possessions, 4 marks. Aaron Hamill working in the media now. Used to provide so much grunt to this St Kilda team. Second half underway.
Yes, they all want to come and join us eventually, don't they, Hutto? Jude Bolton squeezing it out. Jack, most impressive in the first half. A couple of games last year and looks as though he's on the way in 2008. Gilbert hustled over the line. Throw in coming up. Christy Malthouse.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, no injuries to either side, both healthy in that respect. But what I have noticed is how tired the Sydney players are looking already. As they come off the ground, they're huffing and puffing both in the first and second quarters. Luke, perhaps you can answer how much a difference is the intensity in the home and away season compared to the pre-season?
Oh, no doubt it goes up 20 or 30%. The Sydney players, generally, their fitness base gets better and better throughout the year, and they start off slowly. So it might be a good observation, Christian. They might be finding it hard work out there.
The other thing is with that league, though, they have had a better pre-season because they finished earlier. The last 3 or 4 years, you know, they've been playing in grand final. So they've had a longer break and I reckon a bigger build-up. Paul Roos said so, I think, earlier at the start of this game.
Michael Gardner rucking King on the bench. Jolly wins for Sydney to O'Loughlin, who missed his target. Raf Clark gets it a little way further from goal, but not out of danger. Now the Saints shoot. Snyder, just his 4th disposal of the night. Michael Gardner gives to Charlie Gardner, 2 of the Saints recruits. He goes for Graham. Danger man running out of defence, making play for the Saints. Hasn't had many opportunities to do it. Oh, Krzyzewski takes a beauty. It wasn't Graham's best kick. It was something of a mongrel and hung in the air, but it hung nicely for Krzyzewski to come from the side.
Gee, that would warm every St Kilda supporter's heart, seeing him do that.
Love the way he just attacks the footy, doesn't he, Body? Just sole focus on the footy. He's got himself in trouble a few times doing it, but he looks fit and strong.
As much as there's the downside to the hands in the back reel, that's the upside when we see players fly like that.
He has one. He should not miss this. He has just managed to coax it through. The Saints are back in front.
Well, I don't care if you're 5 or 105, but it's one of the reasons why you come to footy. And when you see the great skills and when you see Justin Krzyzewski do this, does just the best feature of our game. Love it, and love it some more.
We're talking about the Swans' preparation. David Misson, their former fitness advisor, has moved south of the Murray, changed clubs. He's with the Saints. They're hoping they'll have a more injury-free or a less injury-riddled year under his control.
It seems like that's the only thing that's really going to stop the Saints being right up there, doesn't it, this year? The injury curse, which is, as you said, riddled them for so long.
Dave Misson was an elite-level athlete, a 400-metre hurdler. His dad was a fast bowler for Australia. Good pedigree.
Oh, brilliant takeaway from Buchanan. Kicked on his right boot, but hit the target. Nick Davis, who we haven't seen an enormous amount of tonight, takes the mark. He's had 7 possessions.
Great work, wasn't it? Oh, have a look at that.
You know what I love? At pace, you hit the pack, you got every chance. Just like the great mark down the other end. Then you see that as ruck work and run on and finish. Game's pretty healthy. Hope it keeps going like this, boys.
Only 6 contested marks for the night, Blighty. We don't see as many as we'd like. Here's a long kick at goal from Davis, who we know is renowned for his pinpoint accuracy. That time just away to the right.
Very positive this year, Malcolm.
Well, Tim, I'm sitting alongside positivity. The great Tim Lane here with me. And we've only seen a little bit of flooding earlier, and we've broken that up, Tim.
That's what a summer up on the Cairns golf course can do for you, of course, Tim.
It's Paradise Palms.
Sorry.
Anyhow,
We all should try it. Sam Fisher to Raf Clark.
We only get Bloody to invite us up there.
And pay the fares. This is Gilbert. And Jack's got him. Well done. And now it's the Saints. It was 100% the opposite in the first quarter. Sydney applying the pressure. St Kilda in trouble. Schneider gone. And Kieran Jack.
Well, tell you what a bang, what a shame.
Michael Gardner chops him off. He's done some good things, though.
Yes.
Has Jack. Hudson with support from Jones. Working his way inside. Hall keeps chasing. Flattened the Shepherder, but in the end, Jones.
Have a look at this side, Tim. He's run again. How exciting is that when you see someone take him on? Isn't that great?
This is Geary.
And he got it back.
Jones again.
Tough to hit a target now. He's got a loose man down the ground. Good running from Charlie Gardner. They're all bunched up around the 50 here, the key targets. Revolt, Gardner. Del Santo's down there as well with Kosicki down in the square. If someone could mark, Gardner threatens to take a big grab. Just not quite. Snyder tried to get on the end of it. Milne from stage right. Bolton seemed completely unaware, but Milne just couldn't quite hang on.
Isn't it funny, Luke? He got a cheap kick earlier.
Just this matchup here, Blighty. Sorry about that. Lee Fisher and Goods. He's doing a great job on Adam Goods. Kept him to 4 possessions. I think if Sydney are going to win, Goods has just got to get himself into the game more.
Jolly hacking it forward. Back to Charlie Gardner, though. Good awareness. Snyder can give a long ball. Good service for the leading Kosicki. Just had to bend the knees. Would have liked it a little fuller. And there's Goods.
So do you think Lee Fisher was actually part of St Kilda's plans all along? He was named as an emergency but promoted tonight into the 22.
Get the feeling he might have been, Tim. Conspiracy theory there, but he looked pretty set for the job when he ran out tonight.
Mattner on his wrong side, so gives to Kennelly. Kick stolen, there's a hold. Harvey's ball.
Blighty, just quickly, what else would you do with Adam Goods if he's not getting himself into the contest now? Where would you like to play him?
I think he just needs to sit on one of the St Kilda on ballers and frustrate them for 5 or 10 minutes. Or secondly, just play him full forward, one out and see what happens.
4 possessions in more than a half of football to the dual Brownlow medalist, Adam Goods. Del Santo forced into reverse. Sam Fisher. Saints work it via the Cape. Hudgton giving it to Geary. 19-year-old. Stabbing it to Charlie Gardner. Saints being careful now. Graham unloading again. Who's on the end of this one? It's Milne, who will play on and kick a behind.
The old torpedo, Blighty, it was a mongrel. Just didn't spin at all, but sometimes they're effective. Stephen Milne, the beneficiary. I know you as a coach, you always allowed your players to have one go at a tour, but it didn't come off. Is that right?
Yeah.
They couldn't kick a second one?
Put away for the day, yeah. Well, look, if there's nothing on, I think it's still an art, should be practiced. Uh-oh.
Good. Richards' kick intercepted. Set up beautifully for Harvey. Only kicked 4 goals last year. And only gets it behind that time. Would love to have put it through. Margin 7 now, 5-8 to 4-7. It is the third quarter, yes. Don't adjust your sets. Yours, Tim.
Thanks, Hutto. Kennelly to Jolly. Swans working it around now. It was 15 marks to 1 St Kilda's way for the term, but Sydney going some way to correcting the ledger, but now turning it over, and Schneider gives and gets from Michael Gardner, and that's a lovely kick. Montagna was tempted. He made the right decision in the end, even though it was a big man in Jolly coming at him.
Interesting. Swans kicking is now letting them down. They've turned the ball over, so the Saints are dominating.
That option down the line there of Goods on Lee Fisher in a one-on-one contest to the wing. You almost got to play the percentage there. Back in your All-Australian Brownlow medalist.
Oh, Montagna cutting the angle, curling it away, missing on the near side. Saints by 8 points. All the action's been at this end of the ground.
Yeah, it has, because the Swans kicking. Yeah, but unfortunately, sides get into that mode of chip, 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 chip to a kick to a spare. So you don't actually kick to a 50-50.
Bolton, they're going to take the kick in.
He's mad, Goods. Kick it on the head.
There he is down the line. You can see him wanting the footy now. He has to lead up. Bolton just doesn't want to kick to a contest.
Forced to in the end. Jolly, was there some interference? Well done from Darren Jolly. What do you think of Rosie coaching down on the bench, Blight?
Well, I've got a theory that John Longmire is the coaching coordinator.
Yep.
I've got a funny feeling that perhaps John Longmire is organising the coaching structure up the top. Rosie is talking to players as he comes off and perhaps seeing something from the other. I think there's a shift. This may be a shift in the way we coach.
Could also be a transition too, couldn't it, into
Yes.
Longmire taking over, which they've flagged as the future for them. Here's Longmire watching on as O'Loughlin goes for Hall. Body strength on Hudson. Hudson with the timing of the fist. Harvey just couldn't quite get there. Bolton overwhelmed by numbers. Oh, Hall was very strong on Fisher. Picked a different target. It wasn't Ralph Clark in the sights that time. It was Sam Fisher in the road. You heard the explanation, or at least the end of it. And now Del Santo can link up with Geary. Yes, they go wide to Clinton Jones. He's got King on over the top. Oh, he almost got Harvey into some trouble. He gets out of it.
Now here's King lumbering and coming the other way as Roberts Thompson, who always looks like a colt who's just broken out of the paddock. Not many colts kick as well as that with the left foot. Davis to Hall.
All of a sudden, that bad kick on the wing and a turnover. It's an interesting game now.
And Bazza has a man loose, and it is the man who was given Paul Kelly's number 14, playing his first game, Craig Bird. But it started with Roberts Thompson beating Stephen King to a loose ball, crashing through his tackle. Swans were away. Now, can Bird kick a goal from 50? Not quite with that. And King, having been beaten in a one-on-one, gets back to stem the tide for the Saints and deliver neatly to Sam Fisher. Still St Kilda by 8 points. Middle stages of the third term.
So again, St Kilda probably having the best of the quarter, but not on the board, although around the clearances it's been all the Swans. They've won all the clearances so far in this third quarter. Yet they've only scored one behind. Stephen King waiting for options to open up. There's nothing doing. Gee, it was a little bit of risk there to find Jones, and now Del Santo goes. The odds very much against Stephen Milne, and he battled gamely, but the numbers win out. Not completely though. Roberts Thompson, now suddenly there's more Saints there than Swans. Free kick, which way it's going? Sydney's way. Against Stephen Milne. That's different if it had been against Graham.
Excuse me. That's wrong.
Swearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a pretty fortunate free kick, I thought, in the moment in which it happened. That's it in the back, perhaps against Charlie Gardner.
It's Lewis Roberts Thompson with a shot at goal.
Thanks, mate.
8 goals, 9 in his career.
Stutter.
Yeah, there was a bit of a stutter. It's coming back, but hangs out to the right.
Get on with me any time someone kicks like that.
Back to 7 points.
Just going back to that coaching bit, Luke. I mean, is that? Am I right with this with Paul Roos? I'd love to ask him, perhaps after the game or during the week when this is all over, if that has been a seismic shift in the Swans, and he's going to have a look at it from a different angle and just take the pressure off himself and say, righto, John, you're the coaching coordinator. Let's get this together.
Well, he has been an innovator, hasn't he? He's always tried to think of himself ahead of the game, and at ground level, he probably feels as though he's got immediate contact with his players. And there's John Longmire, who at some stage has been promised the senior job at Sydney. So congratulations to Paul Roos. It seems as though it's a smart and forward-thinking move.
Well, it also involves, I would think, a subjugation of the ego that some coaches wouldn't quite be able to countenance.
Absolutely.
Revolt came down hard.
I know one in particular.
Here's Harvey still running after all these years. Kaczynski a long way from goal. Much too far out to score. Raf Clark, Fiora, Milne scouting. Owes him a little debt here. Clever, not 15. McVeigh did beautifully for the Swans. Clean spoil, good collect, long clearance, and played the boundary line.
And later in the year, we'll see that paid deliberately. And wrongly so, Tim, we agree on.
Well, that one curled away, didn't it? Here's Revolt over on the other side. His legs taken from under him. Not a sight that St Kilda fans relish, but he's okay. Here's Lenny Hayes. Oh, his teammate got in the way of him. Luke Ball. Hayes was about to collect and might have been able to break away. Now Hutchton out of defence. Scoring chance here.
There is Revolt, has recovered. He's coming, but he can't overcome the big obstacle standing in the road. Leo Barry's got more away. Now, it wasn't a great kick. If it sits here for more, he should be able to escape the efforts of Kosicki, and they can build again via Grundy and then O'Keefe.
This is petrol tickets right now. There's some blokes really tugging. I'm just looking back behind the plane. There's blokes running up and down the one spot.
O'Loughlin.
If you're clean with the ball here, the Swans can score if they're clean.
6 marks and 6 kicks. Looks like Luke Ablett in some trouble. We'll get to Christie on that in a moment. Swans just trying to be a little too delicate, I think, around the 50. Jared Moore just has to blast away in the end off the left into no man's land. Roberts Thompson with the lunge, but it comes too late. It's another low-scoring Sydney-St Kilda clash. We've become accustomed to those over the journey. Stephen King against no one. Not out of trouble yet. Clark and Graham. Little nudge from Kennelly with the body rather than the hands. Almost took it to the line. In fact, it's over.
It's pretty smart use of the body there, wasn't it, by Kennelly? He's adapted to the rule about not putting your hands in the back. And he's been really good in his comeback game tonight, Kennelly. Such an important player for the Swans. Oh, that's not adapting to the new rule. So,
Christie, Luke Ablett looked a little better then as he ran around. Is he okay?
Yeah, they just did a very, very quick assessment of his knee, and as you can see, he is up and running around. Similar to when Xavier Clark came off in the first quarter, just a knock to the knee where they do have to have a look at, but he seems fine to come back on.
Charlie Gardner told time's up. Kicks long aimlessly. Straight to Kennelly. Says, catch me if you can.
Don't you love the
and
way
the Swans are dangerous here. O'Loughlin with an open 50. Needs to get it in there quickly. Now he goes, and he goes well to O'Keefe, twisting onto his non-preferred side. And so he goes down the boundary corridor and scores a behind. The margin, one straight kick.
Why would you kick it to that pocket?
yeah, it was a great call on Kennelly, though. Every time he gets it, Malcolm, something happens. He takes the opposition on. The side that will win tonight will be the one that takes the opposition on like Kennelly just did.
Gee, the options suddenly dried up, didn't they, then for Snyder? And the Swans, will they make them pay? Bevan has got some options. Good delivery for Grundy. McVeigh's kept on waiting in the pocket. And total disorganisation down there. Jason Graham didn't go with him now. McVeigh, are the instructions here for Jared McVeigh to kick a goal from Paul Roos? I think they are.
I reckon their naturals take over about here, Hutto. There are some blokes tonguing it, though. This is game one.
Schneider came off immediately after that mix-up, incidentally.
And McVeigh, who it's well documented, had trouble in front of goal last year. That trend continues. He'd been very accurate the previous year to that.
I reckon round one, no matter what, Blighty, no matter how good your pre-season, suddenly you get to about this time of the game and you can't breathe. You've got lactic building up in the quads and you're thinking, what did I do all summer to deserve this? And you're looking at him now, everyone's tired.
You know, this is where really smart players find pockets to run to. You know, they don't have to run all up and down the ground.
What a good mark by Roberts Thompson. Gardner misjudged it. Swans haven't kicked a goal for more than 27 minutes. Then again, there have only been 9 kicked for the night. There have been a lot of mistakes, and that was one of them. Del Santo's ball. This is the 200th clash between the Saints and the Swans. There's another mistake. Sydney's ball. Of course, they used to be rivals from either end of Albert Park Lake. These days, the Swans play from Sydney. The Saints are on their way to Frankston. They've played 3 draws. One of them at this venue not too many years ago. And you never know what might be the destination of this match. Buchanan, nice ball. There was a hole. Grundy's free kick. In the last 5 minutes of the third term.
See, someone needs to take a hanger here, isn't there? There's 100 people, well, nearly 100, back in the square. Just kick it up, kick a bomb.
Just 1 goal kick for the quarter. And it wasn't kicked by Sydney. Barry, so they keep firing it across the top of the 50 and not going inside because of the numbers in there. Davis, that wasn't 15, it didn't matter. Charlie Gardner to his namesake, Michael. Del Santo, Geary, first gamer.
Spent 4 or 5 bad kicks, hasn't there, in the last 3 or 4 minutes? Fatigue.
Geary, no one on the mark. but he refuses to be drawn, refuses to play on, instead going laterally to Raf Clark. Now he's got to play on. Geary. Again, no one coming at him. Liked his chances with Lee Fisher, but he just overcooked it. And now Buchanan. You can see the players are just running on the spot, aren't they, here? Bolton. Goods.
Take him on.
Got some run from behind, but confusion reigning on the wing. Jack was prepared to chance his arm. You can see why the players are hesitating. Now, this is well off the ball. Maybe a throwback to a few years ago with Maguire and Barry Hall in a final. Just an interesting little glove tap there from Barry.
Yes, but it wasn't behind the play. It was within 50 metres.
That's right.
You'll never let it go, Tim, do you?
Certain points need to be continually pressed. Might be a push in the back. Graham falling on a Sydney player. No free kick, ball up.
Jason, you dragged it into him.
The big bad man, as imposing and intimidating as ever. Jolly out-bodying Michael Gardner there. Buchanan can come inside on his preferred left side. O'Keefe, another Molly Duker, and that's a beauty. Hall misses a lot of those these days. He goes back, but can't get it out.
Oh, he's fired up, Barry.
He's frustrated, isn't he?
He's dangerous in that situation.
What actually happens when you come that hard and the ball's kicked that hard, I don't know what the miles per hour or kilometres per hour, it sometimes is difficult to grab those.
Well, last year they were talking about his eyesight, weren't they?
Yeah, well, that's fixed.
As well as his groin and everything else. Here go the Saints. Milne. Can he wreak some havoc? It's a clever little kick, but Craig Bolton did well. Montagna got Kirk high. Sydney's ball.
That's 50, isn't it? No.
Still just one goal in this extraordinary quarter and only 9 for the night. It's a nerve-jangling encounter between the Saints and the Swans.
Exhausting even for those watching. Roberts Thompson.
Bounce it.
No one coming at him.
Please.
No, that's off the side of the boot. It stays in the field of play, though. Fiora was able to shrug off Bolton. And he really did look like he meant business there, Fiora, whereas some of the others are just hanging on desperately till three-quarter time. Montagna trying to change thing up. The big switcheroo into the outer side of the ground. Charlie Gardner for Revolt. Just in precision. Costly for the Saints in this quarter, for both teams at times. Hurried handball, and it sets up another opportunity for Leo Barry and Bolton, and now O'Loughlin.
Surely this time.
Grundy and Hall, the targets, just set up for Hall. It wasn't easy at all for him. Graham with one of those slashing runs, brings Clark into the play. Can he engineer a mark? This could be a crash of bodies. Courageous stuff from Jones and Matner, and the free kick paid to the St Kilda player. I'm not sure there was a free there, really, was there? I mean, didn't they both go for it?
Yeah.
He's kicked the goal anyway. Great give off.
That's a good point, Hutto. Be interesting just to see where they both are at the drop of that ball, which hung agonisingly in the air with Clinton Jones coming unflinchingly with the flight. Matner the other way. Schneider kicking the goal. Well, a dead heat for that ball. Jones with the flight, Matner the other way. Now, is that a free kick? If Matner's going for the ball, trying to get to the drop, I suppose he turned his eyes off it, didn't he? Turned side on.
Yep. It's a great part of our game, that, though, isn't it? The courage to go back with the flight. Matner had courage as well. Great effort, both boys.
Buchanan trying to break, couldn't do so. The Saints getting the break in this game. Could they do more damage in the last 70 seconds? Kuzitsky, Richards with him. And it spills near the boundary. Richards gets back. Takes them on. Gone. Gee, it's unforgiving if you take a risk. Charlie Gardner's ball too far out. Revolt on the lead. He's got it. Poor old
Ted, he just had a bit of a brain fade there, didn't he? I mean, there's a minute to go on the clock, and it was a bold, brave move, but probably not the time to do it, was it, with 45 seconds in your defence.
Incidentally, Adam Schneider it was who kicked the goal out of that Matner-Jones collision. His 100th league goal in his 99th league game, his first for his new club against his former club. Key moment now. Revolt from the impossible angle. Puts St Kilda 12 points in front on the edge of three-quarter time.
Gee, Clinton Jones is an inspirational type player, though, isn't he? I mean, he is so courageous. That was just going back to that mark. That was sensational stuff.
Doesn't get any braver than that, Hutto, does it? I mean, you're running full face, full frontal. You know that you're going to get collected by someone. He didn't flinch. There he is on screen. He deserves a massive pat on the back, and I'm sure Ross Lyon at three-quarter time will highlight how courageous that was.
Well, the 50-metre penalty will help the Swans get one last chance to score in this quarter if they choose to attack, which you'd think they should here. McVeigh from the Matner pass won't be aware there's only 5 seconds to go, and might just about run out of time unless Goods can kick an 80-metre goal here. He doesn't, well, he plays on. I'm sure Malcolm Ewan have just quietly gone back from there and slotted it through.
Well, that's what I say. I think you should practice Torps just for that moment. There's a... I mean, I was amazed at that. I thought Matner protected himself. I thought young Jones could have actually probably protected himself too, but I thought the right free kick was given. It was courageous. It was good from both the lads, and because of it, the Saints deserve their lead.
Entertainment is, sorry Tim, entertainment being thrown up for us in that third quarter despite the low scoreline. It's a 12-point three-quarter time score difference. Gee, we've seen some fantastic action tonight, and the amazing courage here of Clinton Jones and Martin Matner, showing the absolute determination and desperation to succeed of both these teams. And for the St Kilda side, it created a goal as Jones took the free kick, popped it over to Adam Schneider, who put it through, and they lead by 2 goals in a very low-scoring game. And those game notes down the bottom won't give in. That sums it up for both sides tonight. Now, let's have a look at the key legs here for the last quarter, Darcy Blighty, starting with the Swans. We can see how many times they've been rotated and how many minutes they've spent on the bench.
Yeah, it's a great stat this we've got throughout the year on Channel 10. There's Buchanan. He's been the highest possession when he's been to the bench 6 times and had 26 minutes rest. Nick Davis has had 4 times on the interchange for 20 minutes rest, and Brett Kirk. So they've been rotating heavily. And St Kilda, they've rotated particularly well. Ball's had 6 times on the interchange and had nearly half an hour off the ground. Del Santo, Harvey and Montagna. The interchange, Blighty, they've had 65 interchanges, the Swans, to 62 for St Kilda. If it was NAB Cup rules, they'd be all out with a quarter to go.
So that means the Swans are winning at the moment, are they?
Let's get down to Christie.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, once again, no injuries to report on down here, but I'm going to quickly tell you about a new book that is on the market, and that is the Australian Game of Football book. It's celebrating the history of football in the 150th year of the game. It was 3 years in the making. It's 400 pages, 3.4 kilos, quite clearly too heavy for me to hold with the microphone, and it's available now in bookstores and AFL stores.
Thank you, Christy. Final term underway. The Saints by 12 points. The end to which they are kicking has produced only 1 goal for the night, and that was kicked by the Swans in the first term. Not sure whether there's a draft blowing up and down Telstra Dome. If it is, it's favouring Sydney. Here's Robert Harvey in his 21st season. Has had 34 minutes on the bench, as you saw. Xavier Clark fumbling it, but Raff mopping it up for the Saints. Sam Fisher giving it back to him. St Kilda working it, building it. Can someone catch it? Adam Goods dropping it. Craig Bolton, interesting to see him give Goods a real pat on the back before this last quarter started. Goods had only 5 possessions for the night. Sydney's ball.
He's had a poor night, hasn't he, Blighty? Adam Goods so far. Yeah, Lee Fisher's done the job on him.
Yep.
So Jared Moore.
So this is it, one-on-one. This is what... Oh.
Well, went in the Goods Fisher direction, but Lenny Hayes, who always seems to have trouble shaking Brett Kirk, he's not alone in that, is able to get involved with Harvey. Gardner
I must say his second half, he got a couple of nice touches in that third quarter, Dars. He's got a couple of touches at the start of this quarter, so it's taken him a while. You know, I watched him pretty closely. He's taking his time to get back into it.
2 full years out of the game. It's always going to be hard to get back to your best form right off the bat.
7 possessions for Michael Gardner.
Thanks, Nick.
Geary. Back for Hudson. Everybody else on the field ahead of him. But somehow Revolt's found some space. That is not good service for him at all. Should have done better. Milne doing what he does best, camping at the feet, but was overwhelmed. And the clearance in the end came from Matt.
Got to play on now, don't they? Sydney, they had all the back half of the ground open. Barry Hall's gone back on the slow play. Hard to score if you don't take a risk. When they played well, I thought they just attacked through the corridor. And now they've gone slow and numbers are back.
Impressive performance tonight from Jack. Gives to Kennelly. Back to Jack. Probes forward for Sydney. Graham making the spoil against Moore. O'Keefe on his wrong side there. And he has 2 against him. And he's pinged for a drag back.
You've got to make more of an effort than that. You dragged it back in.
The umpire couldn't see what sort of effort he was making, really. He was behind him.
It's fascinating, that, isn't it? There was an art that you just keep patting the ball, you know, just keep moving the ball and keep your bum right out there, you know, keep it hard over the footy. I mean, he didn't do that then, did he? I actually thought he did it, and he's a good player, I love him, but he did that very softly, I thought.
Xavier Clark for a throw-in. So you're with the umpire on that one, Mel?
Yes, I did, because I reckon you're going to, you know, you can protect your area, protect your space, and you just pat it round for a while. He didn't need to pick it up. He would have got a free kick.
Show him some old Darryl Baldock tapes.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Jolly with the double fister. Nick Davis from the Bevan handball. Is that Robert Harvey under there? Of course it is. Always looks a bit pained, doesn't he? But there he is, his normal crouch down, just getting the win back. Jolly again, just trying to gain some territory. Graham playing for a free and getting it. Moore shakes his head. Xavier Clark now. Charlie Gardner leading up through the middle of the dome, but some space still to run in and to relish for the Clarks in front of 36,000 people. He's got Geary on the inside, but of course Nick Revolt will be the target. Oh, did Milnes, whether he marked it or not, he sold the umpire anyway. He has sold the umpire.
The optimistic Saints fans wanted 50. Common sense umpiring from Scott Jeffrey.
Don't know about this. Thought there was a bit of grass under there.
Yeah.
Plenty of grass there.
He was just confident, wasn't he? Like walking in without a security badge.
I'm glad the 50 wasn't paid, having had a look at that replay.
Milne. Oh, was that hands in the back from Del Sando?
Okay.
Clearly not.
Tim, you're good at presumptions. That was the last second of a grand final. They need a point to win it. The
Free
umpire
kick.
makes that mistake with the ball hitting the ground. Should we have instant replay on all those sorts of things?
No, I think we live and die with the rub of the green and human adjudication.
Now, I want to write that down right now. Round 1. Well done, Brett. Thank you. I want to debate this with Tim. I want to write that down for the year. Tim Lane said, the rub of the green, let it go. Okay.
I said it, I'll stand by it. Swans haven't kicked a goal here for 41 minutes. Malcolm hard at work, writing a chapter. Well played by Gardner, out to Xavier Clark. Wide again, Schneider trying to keep it in. Almost 5 minutes of the quarter gone, the urgency growing in what has been the tightest of games. Season opener at Telstra Dome for the Swans and the Saints.
Jolly. Oh, look at Lenny Hayes. I'm sure that'll be Brett Kirk behind him. Geary to Clark with the acrobatics, but under the pressure he's turned it over. Jolly. Here's Hudson versus Hall one more time. And Barry Hall shows them the clean pair of heels. Ablett weaving through, but was a bit rushed with the handball. It's Clark's turn to play for the free, and O'Keefe's turn to be the meat in the St Kilda sandwich. You've got to take your turn tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a good call, Huddy. You've had to tonight, haven't you? It's been one of those games that are becoming a bit famous, these Sydney and St Kilda encounters. Very tight, dour, hard contest.
Gardner into Harvey's lap. Clark, Del Santo. His skills when they're going are on another plane to most AFL players. Del Santo took the contact, went to ground, looked for the free and got it.
We can see Adam Goods down in the goal square. The move's been made to take him down to full forward. Raf Clark is his opponent. Free kick, no doubt about that one. So he's only had the 5 disposals, Goods, and Roos has now made the move. Get him to full forward, see if he can kick them a couple of goals.
That's Bird, I think, coming off with the clipped wing.
Well read.
And chopped off by Leo Barry. Gee, this has been a pretty extraordinary game. Unrelenting defence. Kennelly has a good option there from Jared Moore, who's able to break and deliver in the Goods direction, and he can run in and drive it home for the Swans, who are still alive.
Yes, we've got him a goal.
You called it, Malcolm. Full credit. You wanted him there about a quarter and a half ago. And he's got a good matchup. Raf Clark will be very nervous.
Well, you know, his talent. I mean, he can play. You don't always have great nights, and here it is. Just that ever so slight nudge, and wonderful use of the body there. No hands, just the nudge. You can have bad nights, can't you? But you can actually still do something about it in this game. It's great. It goes for 2 hours, and Adam Goods has done something for his team.
You can't keep the Swans out of it. Suddenly they're within 7 again. Hayes trying to turn it around for the Saints. Pushing it out wide. Del Santo was on his wrong side. They generously opened up his left side. He goes for a revolt. Bolton with him every step of the way. This is Geary now. The Swans suddenly sensing an opening. Buchanan shoveling it out for Jack. Good hands. Steady stuff through the middle. Ablett. Here's Goods again. Gilbert with him. And did the job required. Roberts-Thompson. Barry Hall, Hudson, some tired legs out there. They're digging deep. Buchanan, Fiora, which way will the umpire read it? He didn't. He just kept us all going. Ablett. Montagna, clever play, Ablett. Roberts-Thompson. And now they can set up through the middle with Leo Barry and Kennelly.
So often the key player for Sydney in these tight games is Ty Kennelly. Giving off to Matner, who hasn't been able to slice through the middle tonight and use that long left foot. Gets this to Bevan. Plenty of the quarter left. Jack low down, and umpire Jeffrey with another difficult one to adjudicate, but he did pick that up, and he is free, and he's got it. Testing range, though. He'll kick this from just about on the paint. Sorry to interrupt you, Tim, but I saw Sam Fisher slip over, and he just left O'Loughlin free. Here it is. Watch this. You'll see him go. Oh. Little tug on the jumper.
Well, it was just sort of a slip. A slip in the back.
Would you use the third umpire on that, Malcolm? As O'Loughlin comes in. There won't be a goal. It'll land on top of Hall. So will a couple of St Kilda defenders. Jones swinging it clear. Little dangerously. O'Keefe. Jude Bolton to Kennelly. O'Keefe again. He is a left footer. He can't quite get the line. The margin is one straight kick.
Incidentally, the lowest winning margin ever at the Telstra Dome is 67 points. Lowest ever winning score, I should say, 67 points back in 2004, and it was Sydney who did that against Melbourne.
That's a surprise.
Del Santo. Suddenly the Saints locked into their defensive 50 here. As Tim said, there's plenty of time to go in the quarter, but you just get the feeling the tension is building for a crescendo. Fiora, low ball through the middle to King. He just had to take it. I think he had it spent before he got it. But made an excellent recovery. And Charlie Gardner, same deal. He also recovers, but he's on his wrong side. He's looking for mates. Again, they open up for him. And again, Revolt is on the end of it. And again, he had to dig deep to take the mark. Graham streaming forward. He'll go for Kosicki. Strong at the footy. Mark or free kick. It would have been a mark, you would think, if he hadn't have been infringed.
Took him right across the head. You have a look, Ted. Hit him right in the head.
It's funny how the umpires tell you to take a look, isn't it? On some occasions, but if you disagree, they don't even indulge you.
I'd suggest the umpire's right.
So, Justin Kosicki's had his moments over the years with his kicking. Good fluent motion, but unfortunately it's the wrong side of the goalpost. So still we wait for an answer as to which team will prevail. 7 points the margin.
Hutto, you gave us that lowest ever winning score here. What you failed to tell us was that in round 5 2002, these two teams at this ground played a 56 points all draw. Neither side winning on that night. St Kilda a chance here. Revolt's away. The 50 is open. Kosicki with 2 to beat. Kept his feet, but the ball got away from him. Craig Bolton taken over. Still, there has been just 1 goal kicked at that end of the ground for the night. It's remarkable. Not that there has been a welter at the other end, just 10. Here's a chance. Schneider's kick off the non-preferred side. Straight across the face. Ted Richards had a pretty rough night back there. This is awkward for Mattner. The former Crow gives to the Irishman. Who pumps it back and puts Mattner under the pump. But he got it to Barry. There might have been a little shepherd from the umpire. Oh, steal by Fiora. Del Santo, good user of the ball, and that's perfect. And the former Swan, the rejected Swan, Adam Schneider, can line them up. And even though we're a little way from home, it could just about be the winner.
They were pretty lucky to get away with that first handball. It was a hospital ball to Marty Mattner, and then Jude Bolton was a look-away ball in the centre of the ground, and 2 mistakes, very un-Sydney-like, and the ex-Swan now to have a shot on goal.
For the 101st of his career.
Oh, no.
That's a shocker. The moment, perhaps just too much. It's Sydney by 8, St Kilda by 8 points.
One of the most difference as we see a free kick given for a runner being in the way.
Yeah,
I think he said. Yeah. I was going to say, the Swans lost a lot of close games last year. The 3 previous years, they were terrific in tight games. And that's why they slipped down the ladder. They just didn't win the tight ones.
What would you have said to the runner, Malcolm, if he gave away a 50 right now?
I would have given another 50.
Bird with good disposal there for O'Keefe. Huge crowd congregating around the top of the 50. O'Keefe goes for the space, hoping O'Loughlin can run on the end of it. Anticipation was good from Graham. The umpires have had to keep on their toes tonight to get out of the way of the ball and the players at times. Del Santo with perfect service for Revolt, who might have been a bit ambitious with the handball for Gilbert. Able to retreat, no real damage done. Again, precision required, maybe if on tired legs a little too much. Jim McVeigh dancing around his opponent and a few people that weren't there as well. But they'll get away. Bolton. Short and precise for Marty Mattner. Over to Moore. Along the wing, no one coming at him. Hall waiting back inside the 50, so goes wide for Davis. Fisher seemed to just pull up a little lame on the mark. Sam Fisher. Brett Kirk in the goal square, so that's not a realistic option.
And you've got King dropping back. Jolly's got to try and get near him.
Hall now making his way back towards the goals.
Oh, this is where it taught me real handy. Or a long kick.
Nick Davis has been known to kick crucial goals at crucial times. Two points the difference at the Dome.
He's that sort of player, isn't he? He didn't want to kick the goal. He was looking around, even right at the last minute. He was still trying to find a lead. Goes back, takes 1.5 steps, and makes that good a contact with it. It travels through post high.
He is the opportunist's opportunist. Nick Davis hauls Sydney to within 2 points in this cliff-hanging, low-scoring encounter. It's just 2 goals each since half-time, and the Swans are still coming, and it's their football. And away they go. McVeigh. There's no one at the drop of the ball, but here's Barry Hall, 2 against him. Hall like a marauding bull, but Hodgson beats him. To Harvey, to Xavier Clark. St Kilda need a goal if they're going to hang on to this game. Clark draws them to him. To Harvey. Did well, cool as you like. Thought about the hand pass, then decided on the foot, and Fiora is a long left footer.
Can kick it from here, Fiora. The interesting matchup is Lewis Roberts-Thompson is now playing on Nick Revolt. Craig Bolton has done a great job all night, and now Lewis Roberts-Thompson finds himself with that massive job. I'd have my heart in my mouth if I was in the Sydney coach's box. Craig Bolton's a #1 choice, so a big job for him in the last part of this game.
Fiora started on the right line, it faded away. The Saints lead is 3 points. They're not safe with that. 5.5 minutes left.
Are they trying to do a bit of work on Bolton to get him back out there, do you think, Das?
I'd be getting him out as quickly as I could, because there's not many players that match up as well as he does on Nick Revolt, and the superstars, Blighty, they're the ones that find something now. Revolt, he'll pluck a grab. I'd want him out there.
22 possessions for Kennelly. Here's LRT. Always keeps you guessing a bit when he's got the footy. Long for Hall's a pretty safe option. But the Saints were ready to sweep underneath. Raf Clark for King. He'll want it back. Raf burning through the middle of the Dome. Unaware.
Great chase.
Unaware that O'Keefe was mowing him down. And now the Swans, they can be in front if they can kick a goal here. Goods. Centimetres. No mark. Pressure on Moore. Free kick. No. They're still going. Davis again. There's a free kick. It's coming back. And it's a Sydney free kick to Michael O'Loughlin.
How good was this chase? Right through the centre of the ground. Ryan O'Keefe, he just works so hard. And they're the sort of things that win you round 1 matches. Desperation stuff like that. Well done.
I find it fascinating as we wait for this ball to come back. Nick Dale Santos, as I've seen many times, in the goal square by himself virtually.
O'Loughlin not trusting himself to score a goal from there. What do you reckon, Das?
I think he gave it to the right bloke. Here's Del Santo. See this? Every time there's a tight game on, Del Santo tends to head to the back and become I guess, the quarterback at the back. 2
points in it here at the Dome in the last 5 minutes, and the Swans have not been in front all night. Right now, though, they're a serious chance to win the match. Young Jaron Geary. But the Swans have flooded. They are way back. It's a super flood. And the youngster now will be tested in terms of what he does with this footy. He does okay.
Well, every Swans player, it's pretty basic stuff now. Look, you're just out of the game. I mean, all you have to do is chase hard.
It's turned over by Koschitzki. And now everyone has to start running back down the ground. They could never play like this for 4 quarters on a bigger ground. Leo Barry from the wing. It is a little dangerous, and Hall couldn't hang on. Gilbert, Montagna. Revolt is there, and he's in good posse against Craig Bolton.
Well done, Bolton.
Must have got the arm. It's Revolt's ball.
Just with the naked eye, I thought he made a fairly reasonable attempt.
The picture of Craig Bolton's agonised face telling 1,000 words. Revolt much too far out to score. Goes to Del Santo. Good move from outside 50. The big wind up, the long ball. The minor score. The margin 3 points.
It's amazing you can get loose.
Have a look at this free kick.
Just it was the second part of the accident, I think, that the umpire took notice of. Just a slight drag down. 3 points the difference. It's only round one, boys.
Yeah.
Kennelly, clean kick in. Players obviously look up and they know it's a low-scoring game, and that we've ticked into the 22-minute mark. So all the mistakes here are magnified. Great work from Jolly, and this man powering on, Kennelly, when others are wilting. Graham and Moore and Harvey. Who else? Towards the line. You'd think Graham be happy with that. Kennelly's certainly not. Swans hacking it forward. Moore. Is there anyone there? Davis outsized, and it's Raph Clark saving the day on this occasion. Remember a couple of years ago it was Nick Revolt that went back and saved the day in the wet against the Swans, and yet another thriller between these two sides. This time it's Fisher bringing it forward. Still the margin is 3.
Won't be too long to go. There haven't been many scores in this last quarter.
So much at stake tonight too, isn't there, in terms of the start of the season, the pre-season for Paul Roos. It'd be a huge win for him if they could get up.
Oh, Schneider's off and he's gone. He was called play on. Barry Hall, sensing the chance, came from nowhere. Can the Swans make something of it? Nick Davis with the man on the mark on the 50. Similar range to a couple of minutes ago. Can he snatch another game from the jaws of defeat for the Swans? What a moment for Schneider against his old club, brought to grief, and Davis perhaps kicking for the game. They have not been in front all night.
Not there.
They're not in front yet. It's no score.
How could they have known on the line, Das?
That is unforgivable.
It is.
You just, at that stage of the game, this was sensational from Barry Hall, but to leave Kaczynski unmarked on the goal line, Paul Roos will not be a happy camper at the moment.
It's not over yet, though. Hayes and Geary combining on half-back. Smooth stuff again from Del Santo to Revolt. He's going to hold things up. 24 minutes gone. Adrenaline still very much pumping here. Matner sees it over the line. At least Paul Roos feels like he's as close to the action as a coach can get. Nick Davis coming off.
Terrific to be able to see that, isn't it?
O'Loughlin comes back on for them if they can get the breakaway. Gives them another marking option up forward. Kirk, he'll be digging deep for them. Ablett. Barry Hall and Hudson come out to meet it. The tired legs.
Well
somehow they get it forward. O'Keefe. Bird, the young man running through. Fires away at goal. He misses. It was Moore.
Centimetres from victory. Still, the Swans haven't led. What's the signal from Montagna?
Set play on him. Montagna wants this one out of bounds. Take as much time as you can. So they've got a man up here. The Swans can't allow an uncontested mark. Make him kick it down the line.
First gamer with the footy. Jaron Geary. Long ball to the crowd. There's a whistle, and it is St Kilda's ball. That could be crucial. A 50, a 50, and that is crucial. And Paul Roos giving the indication that he thinks it's over. Swans, incidentally, in black armbands tonight for a number of supporters of both South Melbourne and Sydney who have died between seasons. With them in spirit tonight, perhaps, as they hang on to hope against the Saints. Sam Fisher's ball from the middle of the ground, not long left. In fact, the man on the mark keeps coming back. Was that 50 or 150? Long lead, Revolt, the skipper, with the ball in his keeping, time on his side, and a 2-point margin to protect. Play on call. It's all over though. The Saints win a cliffhanger. First up against the Swans, and Adam Schneider breathes a huge sigh of relief. St Kilda by 2 points. Paul Roos, watching it from ground level and close range, couldn't be disappointed with the endeavour of his team. When they conceded 4 goals to 1 in the opening term, it really looked as though the Swans were going to be blitzed by the 2008 Saints. Adam Schneider, in his first game for his new club against his old one, is part of a memorable victory. Let's hear from the Saints skipper with Christy Malthouse.
Thanks, Tim. Well, Nick, it was a close one, and goals seemed very hard to come by.
Yeah, they did. Mind you, both sides had plenty of opportunities. I think 20 scoring shots each, so it was plenty of shots to be had, but just couldn't convert both sides.
You, 2 new ruckmen in the centre. You got your Schneider on the wing. You got Gardner in there. You got new faces, new players. How did you find the structure with the new personnel?
Oh, we've been working on it for a long time, a few months now, and it's good to have those good, fresh guys come through and put the pressure on the rest of the list as well to stand up and perform. And I think we did that, not for the whole game, which was a bit disappointing, but enough. We did enough.
A fair step up in intensity from the pre-season tonight?
Yeah, it always is, and coming up against a side like Sydney, you always know what you're going to get with those guys. They're always competitive and they're always going to be in the game. So it was a tough fought win, but well deserved, I think, in the end.
Well done, Nick.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, there was a lot to enjoy about it, a lot to study for the visiting coaches tonight. St Kilda kicked 4 goals to 1 in the first quarter, Malcolm. Thereafter, they kicked just 2 for the night. You don't expect to win games with that sort of return, although it has to be said they kicked 2 goals 12.
Yeah, they did miss a lot. So did Sydney, for that matter. Gee, they were gallant, that mob. And sadly, I mean, that was a bit indicative of their year last year. They did lose a lot of games, tight games. That's the way they play. Just like that bit of finesse. I mean, Nick Davis had a shot at goal late, and no one in the goal square. But St Kilda.